Good afternoon and welcome to SnapTech IT's specialty webinar for the month of June 2026. My name is Ted Holsey. I'm Chief Revenue Officer with SnapTech IT and your host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can always visit us on our YouTube channel for all of our content on demand. Today's topic is how construction firms can gain efficiency with AI. We are joined today by Taylor Carmichael. Taylor is Director of Systems at Southeast Restoration, where she leads the integration of technology and operations across the cleaning and restoration industry. With a Master of Information Systems and over a decade of industry experience, Taylor focuses on streamlining workflows, improving communication, and driving scalable solutions. She's passionate about making technology practical by bridging innovation with day-to-day execution to help restoration teams work smarter and grow stronger. So Taylor, thanks for joining today's webinar.
Absolutely, Ted. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, great. So Taylor is the star of the show today, and I'm gonna turn things over to her in a moment here, and she's gonna take you through our agenda and get into the content. We do like to spend 1 or 2 minutes at the front of every webinar, just making sure that if you don't know who SnapTech is, you just know who we are as the host for this webinar series. So SnapTech, we are a cybersecurity first IT service provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. When clients come to us, they're usually struggling with technology issues. They may have a current provider who's maybe not, is maybe letting them down and not getting things done. Sometimes organizations are rapidly growing and they simply need more support and more technology advice and consultation and support. Other times, the management team might be losing sleep over cybersecurity issues. Our philosophy is that technology should be solving your problems, not creating them. And so what we do with new clients is we implement our proven process. And every single one of our clients has a technology plan, a predictable IT budget, and they have our best practices in place in their organization and our full security stack. Things do break in technology, or users do need support. And when things break or when your users need support, we provide fast and friendly IT support. And our clients ultimately benefit from the peace of mind that their organization is being protected at the utmost level from a cybersecurity perspective, and everything is running smoothly so you can focus on your business. We serve clients in 2 different ways. If you're a smaller organization and there's nobody on your team who has IT on their badge, if you will, for those sorts of organizations, we provide fully managed IT. If you're a larger organization and you have either an IT director or an IT team, we put together what we call co-managed IT, which is a bespoke custom implementation where we come alongside you and help your existing IT team with a customized IT outsourcing solution. So that's, and then to get started with us, clients will either start out by doing a cybersecurity risk assessment for their environment, and then more and more, we are engaging with more clients today who are kind of struggling to drive an ROI from AI. And they might be, heavy in experimentation mode, but they're looking for, how do I scale AI into my organization and drive real business transformation and real productivity growth? And that's where our AI Jumpstart service comes in. So these are the kind of 2 different natural pathways new clients come to us. But Taylor is going to be really focusing all around AI today and how, if you're in a construction firm, how to think about how to fully leverage this technology. So without further ado, let me turn things over to Taylor. I'm going to make you the presenter.
Perfect.
And you can share from your screen.
All right, so let me get my screen set up and we'll be ready to go. Give me just a second. Switch this view and share. All right, here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
All right, wonderful. Thank you again for having me. I'm super excited to talk with this team today about all things artificial intelligence. My name is Taylor Carmichael, and as Ted already mentioned, I am the Director of Systems at Southeast Restoration. Our corporate office is also based in Atlanta, Georgia. But before we get into the content for today, I want to answer the question that's probably on your mind. Why the heck is she the one giving this webinar? And the honest answer is it's because my technology team and I are the ones that we're actually doing this every day inside a real restoration business on real jobs with real technicians, real adjusters, and real property owners. We've learned what works, and we have certainly learned what doesn't. And we have made enough mistakes along the way that I can save you some time and some money by sharing what we have found. I'm not here to sell you on a tool or tell you that AI is going to change everything in your business overnight, but I'm here to show you what's actually applicable specifically for construction and restoration firms like yours. So here's what we are going to cover today. We have about 6 sections, 50 minutes, give or take total. I have 3 short demonstration videos that are built into the session, so you can see things working in real time and not just hear me talk about them. And then we're going to land with a concrete 30-day action plan that's something you can actually bring back to your team this week. All right, let's get started. This slide always gets a laugh when I present on this, but it says, if you or a loved one has suffered organizational chaos from unmanaged AI, you might be entitled to financial compensation. And I know it sounds like one of those late night class action commercials, but if you slow down long enough to think about it, there's real truth in it. And here's what I've seen happen and what happened to us early on as well. Companies get excited and they buy a tool or just start letting their team use whatever with no governance, ChatGPT. And then within a few weeks, they've got 3 different people doing the same thing, but in 3 different ways. AI outputs are going to clients that nobody has reviewed, and staff members who either love AI or resent it with nothing in between. That's the red column that you see on the left. It goes that way not because AI is bad, but because AI got dropped into a business that just wasn't ready for it. AI doesn't fix broken processes. It only amplifies them. Inconsistent documentation today means inconsistent documentation just faster tomorrow. So before I show you any tools or any demos, hear this one thing. AI is not the starting point. It is the reward for doing the foundational work first. Once that's in place, the green column on the right is what becomes possible. All right, section 1, the AI landscape. Before we talk about what AI can do for your construction firm, I want to make sure that we are all speaking the same language, because the word AI gets used to mean 10 completely different things. And that confusion is what leads to bad buying decisions and, quite frankly, unrealistic expectations. So the next few slides are quick, plain English, no jargon, what AI actually is, where it's probably already living in your business right now, and why now is the right time to get intentional about it. All right, there are 3 types of AI that you will encounter, and vendors are going to pitch you on all 3. So I want you to know and understand the difference. The first one that you see is general AI. Tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, they are trained on the entire internet. They're great at writing, summarizing, drafting, but there's no construction or restoration specific knowledge baked in. You simply supply that context via a typed prompt every time. This is where I would tell you that most firms do begin. The second is purpose-built AI. These are specialized vertical tools trained on claims data, Xactimate, IICRC standards, restoration and construction specific knowledge. The promise with these is faster time to value because it speaks your construction and restoration language. But the reality is that the quality can vary wildly. So I want you to evaluate these carefully before you sign anything, and always ask, is my data being used to train on a shared model? Lastly is embedded AI, and this one surprises people. AI is already inside tools that you're probably already paying for right now. Maybe it's your job management platform, your estimating software, your customer relationship management tool. It may not say AI on the label, but this is often the lowest friction place to start because your team is already using the tool. The question isn't which one of these is best. It is which one of these three fits the problem that you are actually trying to solve. The 4 reasons that our industry needs this now more than most: labor shortage. You cannot hire your way out of the demand. I'm a firm believer that AI is not going to replace your people, but it will absolutely multiply what they can do. Documentation overload, inspection reports, drawing logs, daily notes, change orders, photo narratives. Most of this is still typed by hand, and AI can change that entirely, and I will show you how to do that today. 3-party complexity. Every restoration job has 3 stakeholders with 3 different priorities: the property owner, the contractor, and the insurance carrier. Generic AI tools, they're not built for that type of dynamic, but you can build your workflows around it to support that. Also, estimate inconsistency. Your best and most tenured estimator and your newest estimator should not be producing wildly different scopes on the same loss type. AI can help with that consistency. On the numbers on the right side of the screen, McKinsey found 20 to 30% cost reduction and faster delivery for construction firms using AI. And a 2018 Plan Grid study found that $177 billion lost annually due to inefficiency and rework. And then about 35% of a construction professional's time is spent on non-optimal tasks. And that was 2018. So the problem realistically has only grown since then. And I want to be honest with you here, because most AI presentations that I've seen, they skip this part. The green column, drafting scopes, summarizing carrier notes, client communications, photo organization, after hours intake, these are certainly real time savers. But the red column, it matters just as much. AI cannot see your job site. It cannot make drying decisions. Do not use AI for code compliance without verifying with a licensed professional. And here's the one thing that I really want you to hear. AI will give you the wrong answer with the exact same confidence that it gives you a right one. And that's called a hallucination, and it happens every day. The rule that we live by is that AI does the drafting, but you take ownership, and you, the human, does the deciding. Every output that touches a client or a carrier must get human review before it goes out, because at the end of the day, the liability is yours, not the tool. All right, section 2, and this is the one that I care most about in this entire presentation. Everything I'm about to share is what we learned the hard way at Southeast Restoration. So if you take nothing else from today, I do want you to pay attention to this next section. Read and digest that quote at the top of the slide aloud. The quality of your AI output will never exceed the quality of your input systems. That is the thesis of this entire section. Step 1, identify your friction points first. Where is time being wasted? Where is information being lost? You cannot automate a problem that you haven't yet mapped out yourself. Step 2, document clearly and consistently. If your technicians are writing job notes 5 different ways, AI is going to produce 5 different outputs: garbage in, garbage out. And step 3, organize your knowledge base. SOPs, templates, scope language, carrier-specific requirements. And information locked in someone's head or buried in a folder somewhere is AI's absolute worst enemy. Then, and only then, should you move forward to step 4, exploring AI tools. Because now AI has something real to actually work with. And when you leverage that, it can compound and scale over time. And this is our story, what we actually did and what we ran into. We started with sales and documentation because it was our highest friction area. We had to slow down long enough and determine what problem are we actually trying to solve before we decided on an AI tool to use. We built AI agents that represent our organization and our brand consistently, not just one-off prompts. We coached voice dictation in the field so team members can speak their notes on site instead of manually typing them in on a tablet. And we also automated loss descriptions so adjusters can get consistent narratives of the loss every time. And the right column is what slowed us down. In the beginning, we did begin chasing shiny tools before our foundation was truly ready to layer AI on top of it. We didn't answer governance and security questions up front, and we paid for it mid-rollout. And the biggest lesson learned was change management was harder than the technology itself. It doesn't matter how good the tool is if your team won't change their behavior. Clean data, clear workflows, defined roles, that is what everything else should sit on top of. All right, section 3. This is where we are going to get practical. I'm going to walk you through the specific use cases where AI is creating real, measurable ROI in restoration and construction businesses right now. Not in theory, but things we actually use, things our industry peers are using, and things you can take back and try this week. Use case 1, and honestly, this is one that gets the most immediate reaction when I show restoration owners what's possible. AI can generate a first draft scope from a structured field notes in a matter of seconds. It can flag line items your estimator might have missed based on the loss type. And one of my favorite applications, comparing estimate versions. What used to take hours of manual line-by-line review now takes seconds. And the golden rule on the right, it is a non-negotiable. AI generates the draft, your estimator has that human in the loop and approves it. That human checkpoint is not optional because the liability is yours, not the tool. And I'll say that once more because it matters. The liability, again, is yours. Now, the prompt on the bottom right, this is a real one that we utilize for stalled claims. A property owner whose adjuster has gone quiet. The claim isn't moving, and you can plug in the carrier name, and AI will give you clear talking points for that property owner. Who to call, what to request, how to frame that conversation. It takes 30 seconds, and it keeps the job moving, and I'm going to show you exactly what the output looks right now. So this is what you're looking at right now, the AI output. It can be generated in about 30 seconds. It starts by telling the property owner who to call and what to say. No guessing, no Googling. Then it walks through what actually to request on that call. The status in writing, adjuster contact, a reinspection scheduled. It can build an escalation path. So in this faked example, I used State Farm because that's who I have. If State Farm doesn't respond in 48 hours for that property owner, they know exactly what the next move is, all the way up to filing a complaint if needed. The whole thing is ready to hand to the homeowner or walk them through over the phone. And that's the point. It keeps the job moving without you, the restoration contractor, having to know every carrier's internal process by heart. Use case number 2. And this is one I tell every restoration operator to try first because the barrier to entry, it's low and the value is immediate. Your technician is on site and instead of typing notes on a tablet, they narrate what they are seeing just simply using voice dictation on their phone. They can paste that into AI and say, turn these into a formal inspection report. Speak it walking to your truck and have structured documentation before you even leave the driveway. 4 things that this can unlock is an inspection report in under 2 minutes, daily logs formatted with timestamps, equipment used, and next day actions, and also loss descriptions that adjusters actually understand. And photo narratives for supplements. Upload the photos and AI can draft the damage description of those photos tied to each affected area. Your documentation is your defense in a dispute, and it makes it faster and more thorough at the same time. So let's see what this looks like in real time. Here, I have taken a raw voice memo recorded on site by a field technician. It's unscripted, it's full of filler words, uhs and ums, and approximate measurements. And I fed it directly into AI. And what you'll see here on the right-hand side is the output. It's a fully formatted Word document ready for insurance use after it has been reviewed and vetted by human eyes, of course. AI extracted and organized the information into 7 sections: job details, source of loss, damage scope, moisture readings, a remediation plan, action items, and the technician's notes. And that whole process took seconds, and the file is ready to download and send to the insurance carrier.
Taylor, just a quick question on that. I mean, pretty powerful example of going from just a raw dictated field report to a structured output. Did you have to? I mean, it looks like we're working here in Claude. Did you have to give it context on what good looks like, or what the desired output is supposed to look like to get like such a solid output on the right?
Yes, absolutely. We do have a defined template that we expect our inspection reports to look like. So we defined what good looks like in a Word document, and we uploaded that here in Claude using this example and said, I want you to utilize this template. These are our brand colors, and these are the sections that I expect to have every single time, just so we do have that consistency when we are sending these documents to adjusters. But yes, absolutely. All right, use case number 3. Your best communicator's tone should be consistent across every project manager, every job, every single time. Think about the communication volume on a single job: status updates, change order explanations, delay notifications, review requests, or adjuster follow-ups. Most of that gets written from scratch by whoever has time, and in whatever tone that they have that day. AI can fix that. The stat says it all. Clients who get proactive, consistent updates are 3 times more likely to refer your construction firm to someone that they know. And this is a growth strategy. It's not just an efficiency play. The prompt on the right bottom is one that we do utilize constantly. In this example, a dehumidifier, it gets unplugged, and it happens all the time. Instead of a project manager scrambling to write an awkward message, they can get a clear, empathetic explanation in seconds. What happened, why it matters, and what we're going to do next. So let me show you what this looks like in real time as well. While this message is generating, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, what you see on your screen. The AI is analyzing that input. I copied and pasted it from the slide before, explaining that a dehumidifier was unplugged. And the AI is analyzing the context of the job situation, the unplugged dehumidifier, the customer relationship, the timeline impact, because now that has increased your number of drying days. And it is drafting me 2 fully strategic communication options that I can choose from in real time. And by the time I stop talking, it's done. So this is another great use case for helping to write out empathetic messages to customers. Oftentimes we say in the restoration industry, we're in the bad day business. A loss comes in, maybe there was a house fire or there was a flood in a home, and we need to tailor our responses to be empathetic to the customer and let them know if their action or something that they did, how is this going to impact their job, and ultimately what are we going to do to take extreme ownership and fix it for them so they have a good experience. Let's talk about use case number 4, internal friction that's invisible but expensive. SOPs and training. If your best project manager left tomorrow, would the next person know how to do their job? Dictate your process, and AI can write the SOP. To Ted's point, give it that template of what your SOP looks like. Just dictate your process, and it can put that SOP into the template that you have provided. Tribal knowledge in one person's head is a business risk. You can look at this through the lens of accounts receivable. Property owners get confused about their deductibles constantly. That prompt that you see on your screen, it can give you a clear, professional explanation that builds understanding instead of creating conflict. Job cost pattern analysis. Paste your data and ask AI where you are consistently going over budget or which loss types have the worst margin. You can get those plain English answered in seconds. And market development. Maybe you just left a meeting with a plumbing referral partner. You can draft a follow-up email before you even get back to the office. You can voice dictate, summarize what you just discussed, outline your internal program deliverables, and then set next steps for that plumbing referral. It keeps relationships moving without the administration falling through the cracks. And last but certainly not least, use case number 5. And this one covers 3 things that don't fit neatly into one category, but these are too valuable to leave out. A 24/7 FNOL, which is first notice of loss, and lead intake. A missed call during a storm event is a missed job. AI answering services capture the lead, they can qualify it, and even schedule a call back around the clock without adding headcount to your team. One storm event where you capture 3 jobs you would have otherwise missed pays for a lot of AI subscription fees. And the production problem solving prompt on the left is one of my favorites because it shows AI as an on-demand thought partner, not just a document drafter. This was a real use case that happened a couple months ago to us where we installed a farmhouse sink cutout on laminate countertops, which is incompatible. Didn't know that. Instead of a project manager thinking on it alone, AI evaluated our correction options, including cost, schedule impact, and the customer experience in seconds. And that's a real scenario and prompt that we used. And also deep research through both Claude or ChatGPT offers this as a paid feature. You can give it a research question and it synthesizes dozens of resources into a comprehensive brief in minutes. You can research market pricing trends, OSHA updates, platform comparisons for software companies you might be interviewing, competitive analysis. What used to take a half day of research now can take minutes. And this is the framework that we utilize at Southeast Restoration. I want you to screenshot the template at the bottom because it will make every prompt you write better immediately starting today. I'm a firm believer that you do not have to be a programmer, you do not have to be a developer, you just need to be a good communicator. So let's talk through this prompting framework. The C is for context. What's going on? Who is your audience? What problem are you trying to solve? More detail equals less guessing for AI, because it will, and it will answer you very confidently. R is for a role. Who should AI think like? An estimator, a project manager, an accounts receivable specialist, market development, sales. This shapes the tone and the decisions that AI can make. And T is for task. What do you want it to do? Be specific, because vague tasks get vague outputs every time. And O is outcome. Ted, I love that you asked this question earlier, but how do you define what good looks like? This is where you define the outcome, define the link, the tone, and the format. If you don't define that, AI will guess, usually wrong. So make sure that you are following the CRTO framework for better inputs to get a better quality output in your prompt. And this is the second prompt template that we have at the top, and it surprises people most when they first try it. Instead of telling AI what to produce, you can ask AI to interview you. Type in, act as a strategic thought partner. Ask me one question at a time to help me think through blank. AI asks, you answer, and at the end, you ask it to compile everything into a document. And why it works is because it forces you to think out loud, which clarifies what you actually need. And AI asks better follow-up questions than a search engine because it's responding to your specific situation, not just returning generic results. Look at the use cases on the right. Building an SOP. AI interviews you about your water loss process and compiles it. Strategic planning, pricing a tough job, preparing for a hard adjuster conversation. All of it works with that same template at the top. And the pro tip at the bottom, think through this step by step. To any complex prompt, it gets you more structured, organized output without doing anything else differently. As a technologist, this is one that I love to say, help me think through this one question at a time, because often I might not be prompting it because I might not know what to prompt it. I need it to ask me questions to get me thinking differently and to get information out of my head. So this is a big one that you should try out. All right, this slide is a non-negotiable. Never paste client names, addresses, insurance claim numbers, or any personally identifiable information into free or public AI tools. This needs to be a written policy in your construction firm. If you're using free tools, or even the paid tools, you need to turn off the improve this model for everyone in your settings immediately. Use generalized scenarios. Don't put names, claim numbers, just treat it like a public forum because it essentially is. And when you are ready to use AI on real business data, just upgrade it to a paid account and turn off that improve the model for everyone setting. You can use ChatGPT Team or Enterprise, Claude Pro, or also Microsoft Teams. I know my examples I gave you earlier were in Claude, which I do utilize and dabble in, but as an enterprise, as an organization, we are a Microsoft shop at Southeast Restoration, and we are consistently utilizing Copilot Studios to create agents, and we rely heavily on our team members to utilize Copilot because our information stays safe inside our Microsoft tenant. And on the governance, before you buy any tool, I want you to ask these 3 questions. Is our data used to train on shared models? Who can access our job records and customer data? And what happens to our data if we decide to cancel? So I want you to think about these and solve this before you deploy any AI tool, not after. All right, this is our last section, and this is where we can make everything that we have talked about today actionable. Mistakes to skip and learn from others. We have made several of these mistakes, so I'm speaking from experience. Buying before piloting. Don't sign a contract after a great demo without running it on real jobs. It is important to always pilot this first. Ask for a trial period. Can I have 7 days to test this AI tool and pilot it? But don't purchase an AI tool just after seeing a great demo. Solving symptoms, not problems. If your technicians aren't following protocols, an AI tool, it's not going to fix that. It is only going to amplify the dysfunction faster. And foundation first. Skipping staff buy-in. You need to start with people who are excited. Don't roll out AI top down and expect immediate adoption. Also, removing human review too early. The moment AI outputs go to carriers or clients without a checkpoint, you're exposed. Accuracy has to be proven on real jobs first. And ignoring governance up front. Answer the security and data questions before you deploy, not after. And it's also important to measure your return on investment. If you can't tell me in 60 days what a tool is saving you, then you are simply just paying a subscription fee. So define what that ROI looks like for you. Start with your friction point and define what problem are we actually trying to solve here. Think of one. I don't want you to just assume that AI is going to fix everything overnight. Start with defining one problem that you are trying to solve. And now let's talk about a few resources that are certainly worth having. The book that I recommend the most right now, it's one of my favorites, I've read it twice now, is The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods. If prompting is the skill, this book, it's the mindset behind it. So you'll also notice 3 QR codes on your screen, and you can get your phone out, take pictures of those, and it will take you directly to the resources so you can have them saved without having to write anything down or try to go search for these later. Just take your phone out and scan those QR codes. And for tools to start with, there's many AI options for the general AI. You've got Claude, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot. If you're already in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem like we are, Copilot for a Microsoft shop has been game-changing for our specific restoration firm because Copilot shows up in tools that we are already utilizing. Outlook, Planner, Teams, Excel, PowerPoint, you get the picture. So that is a big one to look at if you are already utilizing the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. On the bottom left is the RIA, which is the Restoration Industry Association. That is an association that is comprised of contractors in an effort to educate, advocate, and elevate. And their technology task force got together and curated a tech toolbox. And it's an AI guide built specifically for restoration professionals. There's a ton of vetted tools inside of that toolbox that are worthy of taking a look at. And also in the bottom right, your IT partner. Maybe that's SnapTech IT. That's a resource for implementation, security, and also rollout to support you as a managed service provider. And now this is where inspiration becomes action. Your 30-day action plan. What is your next step that you are going to take after this webinar? Now there's 3 phases here. Week 1 is the audit and foundation. I want you to list every tool that your firm uses, every tool in your technology stack, and check for AI features that maybe are never turned on, because you can have embedded AI into tools that you already have a subscription for. In week 1, I also want you to identify your single biggest operational friction point. Where is time wasted? Where is information lost? And how we did this, our leadership team got together last fall and we had a questionnaire, and it was a guided questionnaire that gave the leadership team, if AI could solve one friction point for you, what would that be? Where could we automate certain repetitive tasks? But ultimately, just solving that one biggest friction point. And then I got all of their feedback and ran it through, you guessed it, artificial intelligence, to help me define what our 2026 AI roadmap looks like. If the same thing for, let's just say, pre-production and sales was their number one pain point, that became the one agent that we laser focused on until we got it right. Because our leadership team said multiple times in a survey, this is our number one pain point. And then we moved on to the next. I didn't try to solve all 20 of their pain points in a matter of a couple months, but we defined that one friction point, put in a laser focus on it, and ultimately made an agent that is helping us get estimates approved faster. It has shrunk that time of approval time for Southeast. The third under week 1 is to set up a paid AI account. Make sure that what you are prompting inside of there is not being shared outside of those walls, and make sure that it's not being trained on their specific large language model as well. And then draft what an AI privacy policy looks like for your organization. What data is absolutely off limits to enter in? And then who's going to enforce that? And if I'm being honest, and honesty is always the best policy, this one's tough because there's a real thing called shadow AI. Again, Southeast Restoration, we're a Microsoft shop, and I love Microsoft Copilot, but I'm not naive to think that every single one of our almost 300 team members are only utilizing Microsoft Copilot. So how do you eliminate that shadow AI, which is team members utilizing tools that are not approved tools that we should be utilizing in our tech stack? So think about what that looks like for your organization and draft that AI policy to help hold your team members accountable for what data is off limits, what tool should they be utilizing, and who on your team is actually going to enforce that. For week 2, pick one use case. Choose one, which is the highest impact, lowest risk, but your most consistent workflow. And then spend 30 minutes a day prompting with that CRTO framework on real scenarios. Again, what is the context? What is the tone? What is the role that it's playing? And then also, what does that output? Define what good looks like. It's also helpful to screenshot your best prompts and start your own personal prompt library that you can share with other people. We call them prompt accelerators. So some of the prompts that I shared throughout this presentation were defined from, we're multi-locational. We have 8 in total across Georgia and Tennessee, but we have been storing those prompts that were curated by field team members for what made them more effective and efficient in their role. And we are sharing those in our learning management system that we call SRG University, but we're sharing those so team members outside of our multi-locations that we have can utilize those tools as well. So you don't have just one location, leveraging AI, but we are big on knowledge sharing across our locations here at Southeast. And use the thought partner technique. Ask me one question at a time about X. This is a big one because it will get you thinking differently. And One of the quotes in The AI-Driven Leader by Jeff Woods that I wear out and utilize all the time is, "You are the thought leader. AI simply comes alongside of you and is your thought partner." Next, in weeks 3 and 4, I want you to apply and measure. I want you to apply your AI workflow on real jobs, on real construction projects, and track the time before versus after every single time. And then show a team member how to use it, because adoption is just going to multiply your value. And evaluate 1 to 2 purpose-built tools using a structured pilot. So what this meant, this was those 3 AI examples that I gave you earlier: your generic AI, your purpose-built AI, and then your embedded AI that's already in some of the systems that you use. But there are so many artificial intelligence tools and softwares that are built specifically for the restoration industry right now that are quite powerful. So I encourage you to look at some of those. You can see some of them listed in that RIA Tech Toolbox. But this would be a good use case here to research some of those. But just always ask your vendor questions. Is my data safe? Is it being used to train a model? And where does my data go if I cancel my subscription? Because security and governance is something that we all need to be paying attention to. And then lastly, for weeks 3 and 4, document what worked and what didn't work, and report those results with hard numbers. So as you're piloting the AI, just voice dictate, pull up a Word document, a Google Sheet, whatever that your organization is utilizing, and keep track of what's working and what's not working, because then I will utilize that information, run it through artificial intelligence, of course, and then go back to the vendor of, hey, this is working well, this isn't, here's some feedback. Or I can report it to our leadership team for, this is what's working and this is where we should ultimately invest more time, or perhaps where we don't need to be investing more time in a certain tool. All right. That's officially the end of my slide. I do have a QR code here that you can scan. It will just take you to my LinkedIn page, because I would love to stay connected with you all. I'm not sure, Ted, if there's any questions. I know we have about 11 minutes or so left. If there's any questions in the chat, but I also have some Q&A starters just to help keep the conversation going.
Okay, well, great. Taylor, fantastic presentation, very thoughtful, very action-oriented also, right? I mean, this isn't just theory. Like, Taylor's provided real use cases, real examples, real things they're doing in their business, plus a roadmap on how to get started. So excellent, excellent content. Let's take questions. You can go ahead and key some questions into the Q&A feature, and I will field them to Taylor as they come in. But a couple questions that are already here. So Taylor, I'm really curious about the use case of, and I don't know if I'm using the right terminology here, but the field techs who are out evaluating like a loss situation and doing dictation, and then producing that report, like brass tacks, like what software are they using on their iPhone or their mobile device? What tools are they using to actually produce those reports?
Sure. For us, again, as a Microsoft shop, they have the Microsoft Copilot app downloaded on their phone, and they are simply utilizing the Microsoft voice dictation. And then once they have at least voice dictated into there, they can ask Copilot to create a structured report for them. Or we also, in a different use case, we have specific agents built inside of Copilot Studio that we have shared with them, where they can go interact with that specific agent for whatever report that they might be needing to create at that given time. And that agent already has a knowledge base of what does good look like? What is the template? What is the brand? What is the tone? What sections need to be included in said report? So they are voice dictating inside of Microsoft Copilot, but they are interacting with an agent that we have strategically curated for them that already has a very specific knowledge base into that specific example.
Super. So there's not like a different app that's just like using Copilot on the mobile device to just hit the little microphone icon and start your inspection and just keep talking away, and it's going to get a full narrative, and it's going to, once it's done, you submit it, and you can kind of go back to I mean, from a practical perspective, you might go back to the office, but it's already there in your history, and then you can go right from there to create the report.
That's correct. So you can go back to the office, you can download that report that it produced, which will download a Word document for you. And then again, you are the thought leader, AI is just your thought partner. So then you can have that human review, change something that might be inaccurate if the AI did hallucinate, and adjust it there. Or you could even just re-prompt it again once you get back to your office. But we're big on the agent creation and defining what good looks like, and then providing that agent with a knowledge stream of what the output should look like before those reports get submitted to insurance carriers.
Okay, great. Let's see here. I guess just on a very practical level, Taylor, are we going to be able to share this presentation with the audience? Do you have any? What's your point of view on that?
Yes, I am happy with sharing. These are all things that Southeast Restoration learned along the way. Some good nuggets to take away. I'm more than comfortable with you sharing what we have here. Now, if I went into the bowels of our Microsoft Copilot studio, I might have a different answer for what that looks like. But for what we have here, and I think this is applicable to any industry. It's not just construction or restoration. We have some prompt templates that you can think of regardless of your industry, asking AI to be your thought partner and interview you. Those are applicable across industries, across verticals. So yes, certainly share this presentation. That is perfectly fine with me.
Okay, great. Time for maybe a couple more questions. You did mention in kind of the do's and don'ts up front around getting like your strategy defined in this whole area, and you said that there were some speed bumps around security and data governance. Can you share some of the things you guys ran into there? Because just to make a comment, I find the way I often describe it is when we're talking to clients, everybody wants to play offense with AI. Everybody's thinking, how am I going to make more money or save a lot of money to drive more profitability and productivity out of people? But people aren't often thinking about the downside protections. That's just my personal experience. So I would just love to hear what you guys experienced there in terms of, what were some of the challenges?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. A lot of people are not thinking about security and governance and how to protect not only your organization's data, but at the end of the day, we owe it to our customers. That's who we need to be protecting. And I'm going to back up a little bit. In 2024, Southeast had an annual initiative. We called it Embrace the Future. And that is where we set our foundation. Again, Microsoft Shop. That is where we got out a magnifying glass and cleaned up our team structure, OneDrive, SharePoint, all the things inside of Microsoft land. So when we knew we were going to layer AI on top of all of this, that it had a clean atmosphere to be referencing and pulling information from. That was a year-long process. And quite frankly, it's never going to be done. That's something that we consistently are scrubbing and looking at on a rhythmic basis. But that's where you really need to start. And when we were doing that is when AI was becoming more popular, more of a buzzword, and we weren't ready for it yet. And because I didn't communicate with our teams like, hey, we're doing all of this to go down a Copilot path, that's when people started getting different AI subscriptions. And I would notice that just because I'm looking at the technology budget. I'm like, hey, I did not approve that subscription. What do we have going on here? So that is what alerted me to the shadow AI that I was alluding to earlier, where we had multiple accounts getting created. And I don't have any visibility to be able to see what you're prompting. Is that could even be associated to your personal email address? I'm not sure. So we did draft an AI policy that essentially states this is the agent, or excuse me, this is the artificial intelligence tools that we utilize here at Southeast, and you cannot use or download anything else without approval. And that is hard to govern, because I could download something on my phone right now and you might not know about it if I, put it in on my personal card. Now,
Yep.
I haven't done this, but I have thought about it, and I know other of our industry peers are thinking about this. But, you can, through a mobile device management and MDM, I can lock down certain mobile apps from getting downloaded, or I could block websites from you going to ChatGPT on your computer. We're not there yet. I've considered it. I do think that's a little outlandish to begin with, but I think it's really all about, Ted, is it's education. We have an internal learning management software. We call it SRG University here. And we have been strategically rolling out learning courses on artificial intelligence. And it's not just how to utilize the AI tool. It's why. Why is it important to me? Why is it important to Southeast? Why is it important to our customer for us to be looking at this? So the security piece and the governance piece, it really starts with education.
Yep. And then policy, and then enablement. I mean, like if you have the policies and you have the rules and you're thinking about enabling and empowering people, and then you train them, and they have the resources to do their work, then you kind of head off a lot of the troublesome things at the pass, right? But then you also still need policies and other guardrails to put in place for people who maybe aren't the rule followers in the organization. And we always have those folks. So great. I'm so glad we had some time for a couple questions. That's great. Thank you for a tremendous presentation today.
Thank you for having me.
And let me just wrap up with a couple quick comments. If you're curious about how ready your organization is to embrace AI, and you want to kind of understand the areas where you need to really work on those foundational elements that Taylor shared today, we would invite you to do our free AI readiness assessment. This is not a 2-minute exercise. I'll just warn you there. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to fill this out, but you will get back a very detailed assessment of where your organization is, especially around those foundational elements. So if you want to do that, go ahead and snap the QR code in front of you, and I'll just give you a chance there if you're interested. And then just to plug some upcoming events, in the month of July, we're going to be taking a deep dive and looking at 2 of the commercially available alternatives. We talk a lot about Copilot. We're a big Microsoft shop, but we're very much all the time experimenting and leveraging all the different tools, because we feel like that's really important and what our clients are asking us to do. So we will be taking a deeper dive and looking at what's new with Google Gemini for Business. If you're interested in that event, snap that on the left. That's on July 23rd. And then we'll be looking at Claude for business users, Claude for teams and enterprise on July 30th. And you can go ahead and register for that webinar on the right. So with that, I think we're wrapping up just about on time. Taylor Carmichael, Southeastern Restoration, thanks for joining us today. Very informative session, not only for folks in the construction industry and the restoration industry, but I think any business organization that's looking to how to drive the AI agenda internally. Tons of great content from today's session, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing everybody on a future SnapTech IT webinar. Take care.
Bye, everybody.